Alrighty, part 2 of Grandma's episode, Leona. If you haven't watched part 1, go back to episode 8, start there. But if you have and you're here, welcome. Start off with quite a somber tone. You got an update on the cancer journey. Why I think, although somber, interesting, illuminating for most of us who have been touched by it, it's way directly and indirectly. It's always useful, I think, to hear other people's perspectives and experiences. But otherwise, last episode, she was a bit nervous. She definitely was for this one as well, but it was only a quick hour long. We only really covered the last 10, 15 years of her journey in life. So this one we had a lot more time. She knew what was coming. We went straight into essentially a whole life story and love story. She shared some not so politically correct views on feminism, for example, and a hell of a lot more. That's all waiting ahead. I don't want to take the session too long. Without further ado, this is part 2, My Grandma, Leona Brown.
Alrighty. Cool beans. Am I going to be too high? Probably.
So if I want you to stop, can I give you a signal?
Yeah.
What will the signal be?
Just say it.
Oh, then you can wipe it off and go back.
Yeah. You do that all after the fact.
Am I sitting like this, or do I?
You can sit however you feel comfortable.
No.
I just need to sit like this because I'm being like your eye.
Are we a bit close or not?
No, that's good.
All right. Okay.
If you don't mind me sitting like a bloody robot.
Is it on now?
It's on. It's
Oh,
rolling.
is it? You didn't tell me it's on. Gosh. Okay, you can wipe half the beginning of it.
Okay, perfect. We won't, but
All right.
part 2, Grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How does it feel to be back on the first guest?
I'm nervous this time. I wasn't nervous last time.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because I know what it's all about now.
Okay. What is it all about?
It's all about me being on the telly.
Did you watch it on the television?
No.
No. Yeah. But you had some friends and stuff watch it, hey?
Yeah, I did. Yes. Yes, I think you kindly gave it to the iPod, how you get into it, to a few of my friends.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. So that was, what, maybe a couple months ago now? 6 weeks ago? 2 months ago?
Yeah, it was, I think, my first chemo I had this year at Moorabbin. I was at Samantha's house.
Yeah. How's it going?
Well, I missed a few chemo sessions. Each Friday I'm supposed to do it, but I had low white blood cells. So I've missed a few. But in the meantime, I have been transferred down to Wonthaggi. So once again, I think I've been going there for a month, but only had 2 sessions.
Okay, yeah.
Because of the low count of blood cells. Yeah, so I'm going again tomorrow. They've decided to lower the strength in the chemo so that I can at least have it every week.
Okay, yeah. None of you go by yourself, and you have to go by yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can't have people in there with you.
No, I can't. But I can drive myself there so far. It's not too far away. And if I get sick at some point that I can't drive back, then someone can get a ride over and get myself in the car and bring me back. So that's sort of a backup anyway.
Okay, cool. You've done chemo before, but I don't know if we touched on it last time. How is it to go back to the same place? Like, what is the chemo?
I don't like going. I don't like doing it. The day before, which is a Thursday, I have a blood test, and that gets sent to the hospital, the chemo department, so they know what dosage to give me on the Friday. I don't like going there. If it was quick, if I was in and out in under an hour, which I think it's possible that I could, it's bearable. But I'm usually there 2 or 3 hours, and I just don't like it. I don't like being there. It's depressing. It's got a smell about it. A place that's, I'm sitting there with the drip going. I've got a port here. They call it a port that they put in. And I'm sitting there with a drip going into my body. Well, 3 different bags they put into me. And it does take over an hour.
Yeah. Is there, and tell me if we're going too much into the kind of details of it, can you feel something going in? Like,
No, I
obviously when you
can't.
drink some.
I can't feel anything.
Yeah.
I just feel the injection that they put in here initially.
Like a normal injection? Like a
Yeah,
little
it's just, I thought having this port put in, I wouldn't feel it. But I do. They put a needle into that the chemo goes into. This, what they call this port, has got about a 10-inch long tube under my skin that goes, it's up here in the neck, and it goes right down to the heart so that the chemo gets pumped straight to my heart. No, I can't feel that.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, it's just the kind of stuff that I don't think anyone thinks about it until they're kind of in it, or maybe their relatives in it.
No.
Are you feeling the symptoms of it? Obviously.
Yes, I have been. Not the following day. The following day I'm usually good on the Saturday, but the Sunday I have been really sick, but not sick as such. I'm just drained. My body is drained. I have trouble getting out of bed, and then I get onto the couch and I can't get off the couch, and I'm drinking lemonade, and I'm not feeling sick. I'm just feeling absolutely worn out. And probably depressed as well, I guess, because being that way makes me depressed too. So that's what's been happening. Yeah.
What have been, maybe in a moment like that, have there been any things you think about, any things you do, any places you go that pull you off the couch or make you feel better?
Not on that day. I think I just give up on that day. But I do like looking forward to things, and I do make me push on and do things, and yeah. It's nice to have something to look forward to, whether it's visitors coming down or staying, or people coming for lunch, or which is happening quite a fair bit, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yes, it's pushing me to do things and get on with it.
Do you ever think about, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, have you noticed within yourself, within your mind or your body or spirit, like any spiritual things, any connections, getting closer to people or closer to God or further away from something, or knowing yourself? But is there anything like under the surface going on?
No, I've pretty much been like that all my life. I've always believed in God, and a lot of people think it's funny when I say that I used to be a Sunday school teacher, and then
Really?
then went to a church school and had a lot of religion pushed into me. Yeah, it is quite funny to think that at times, but no, I've always been very, very much into prayers and etc. Yeah.
Well, you're not, I wouldn't say you're very showy with
No.
fervour.
No. No, I'm not. I do pray every night when I go to bed.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thank God for the day and for what's ahead and everything, and for family and friends, and I just go through the whole thing.
Really? So it's like a full-on gratitude kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Has that changed, had a different tone to it? Is there any, I can imagine, anger or resentment?
Yeah, sometimes I get that way that I'm asking for help and etc. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. It's not to be about me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think you sort of feel that a lot of people when they get old, they they get very much into going to church and praying, and etc., etc., etc. And a lot of it's to do with, I want things, I want this and I want that, and I want good health and I want this, but it's never been about that for me.
What is it about?
It's just about thanking God for the life we've got, and to make the best of it, and for my family and kids and grandkids, and that everybody stays healthy, and I pray for them. Yeah.
Nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway.
One question I had that came to my mind, because I was trying to, I guess to the best of my abilities, empathize and understand, maybe put myself in whatever idea I can conjure of the shoes you're currently wearing. And something I struck upon was how weird it would be, I imagine, to carry the burden of what you're going through, all that entails. Then something so simple as driving down the street or walking into Coles, and none of these people know.
But I know what I've got, and I know what's wrong with me.
Exactly. And I'm
Yes.
sure, to a certain degree, every human on Earth in society has their own version, and no one else knows what I'm going through.
That happens a fair bit. It is. It's really weird. I might be in Coles pushing the trolley around or something, and people are in my way or doing something, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, get out of the way, I've got cancer. Or stop looking at me because my hair's fallen out now, And I think things like that. But I feel like a walking billboard at times, but nobody can see it. Only me. I feel like I've got this billboard, but I haven't. It's really weird.
Is this the first time in your life you're experiencing that, or have you experienced that kind of thing before?
No, I haven't experienced it before.
Okay.
No.
I think I might have told you this, but I'll repeat it for the podcast, and I heard it on another podcast. But there was a study done, and they got a group of, I believe it was women, and they were dressing them up in makeup to go into an interview.
Yeah,
Did I tell you this one?
You did mention that. Yeah, tell me again.
And what they said to the women was, we're going to put scarring on your face, kind of deform you a bit. So they did it a long time, and they showed them these, horrific scars. But just as they left the makeup lounge to go into this interview, they were like, oh, we'll just do a quick touch-up. And in that touch-up, they removed everything.
Okay.
So the women are thinking they're going into this interview with a deformed face, when in reality, they're actually looking completely normal.
Right.
And they reported such a high degree of the interviewers basically saying little comments or
staring at them, or
staring
whatever.
at them at these scars, which were obviously not actually there.
Yeah, that's probably the feeling.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
It is. It is.
Is it something you're super conscious of and maybe having a little battle internally with, or?
Yeah, I'm conscious of it. I am conscious of it, and like I say, now that I've got this, and I am very I am conscious of what's wrong with me, and nobody knows. I mean, I'm not going to go out there and tell people, but I'm just walking around with holding this inside me, and just getting through the day.
Yeah. I know a few in the hippie space, girls who, usually 20 odd, who shave their hair.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that?
And they'll spray it green or something.
Or maybe spray it green, but a few of them don't.
Yeah.
But like the idea behind that, I think,
I think they're great. If you can do that, that's great. I can't do that. I haven't got the confidence to do that, and I haven't got the good-looking face to do that either. So I think you've got to have both those attributes, and good on them.
Yeah. Fair play.
Yeah, you did it.
Yeah,
you looked great with it. I prefer it long on you, but yeah.
Easy. All right, so Well, thank you for that, because it's,
Mm.
I mean, we might get into it even more, part 3. Is there anything else you kind of, this cancer journey so far?
No. I'm probably looking forward to, in a couple of months' time, I think, or might even be a month away, I'm having a scan.
Mm.
I'm looking forward to seeing what that result is.
Yeah.
But then again, whatever the answer is, I mean, I've got that, like if the chemo's working and it's disappeared, as an example, if it's disappeared or disappearing, I guess I keep going on with the chemo. If it hasn't worked and it's the opposite, or then I'm thinking, oh, what's the point of doing it? Maybe I should just stop it now, and just live every day a happy day. So I'm sort of anxious to have that scan.
When's that?
They told me it was going to be 3 months after I started, but we're probably up to about 1.5 months now. But then, having missed a few sessions of chemo, I'm not sure. I'll probably ask them tomorrow.
So just to confirm, because I think it's still, even though I've heard it multiple times, the hair loss, the energy drain, you mentioned the voice changes.
Yeah. Well, I have lost a lot of energy, and I puff a lot now. I could never walk far. If I go up the stairs, I've got to sit at the top. If I come down the stairs, I've got to sit. I can't go far now without sitting. And I have noticed in the last few days, even my voice is starting to get a bit crackly and croaky.
Yeah.
It's not as strong as it was either. And these are all effects, I've been told.
Of the chemo, not the cancer.
I think more the cancer.
Oh, really?
Okay. I don't think it's the chemo. I think, I think it's what's going on in my body. I think that's why I'm getting tired.
So if you were to stop chemo, it would stay.
I feel that I might even have more energy. I might have a burst of energy, but could only be for a shorter time. So I've got to weigh all that up. I don't know I've never known what to do actually in the last few months. I don't even know whether I'm doing the right thing, but I just think that I can only try.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been definitely the story from the outside of seeing you just kind of like a deer in headlights.
That's right. Yeah, and people just say to me that, it's only my decision. I can only decide what I mean, which is true, which is fair enough.
Is there a part of you that wishes, I think we might have touched on this last time, that someone just said, no, do this. Okay.
Well, yeah. I've had a couple of doctors say that I had to weigh it up, if I want a happy, healthy life for a short time, or do I want to have be sort of weaker and et cetera for longer? I think I'm starting to find that out now. Yeah.
So what's coming, asking that question, living that question, what answers are coming?
Well, I don't know. That's why I want to probably give it a few more weeks and have the scan, and then I think I've always said to myself, like, just try it, do the chemo and have the scan and see where it's at then.
Yeah.
I think that's all I can go
So
by.
just get to the next hurdle.
Yeah.
Next post. That's fascinating. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I think it's illuminating whenever you kind
so,
of delve into the sobering stuff. Is there anything that you think back on your own life, and especially for me and maybe my friends who might listen to this, your youth? Is there anything that this particular part of your journey, this chapter, is illuminating, is bringing forward, is giving lessons that might have been very good for you to have already had learned and incorporated when you were 23?
I'm not quite sure what you mean. What do you mean?
So currently, this chapter of life,
Yeah.
going through this stuff, asking these questions, experiencing what you're experiencing, is there anything that you've learned from all that, from cancer essentially, that you wish someone had been able to just give you when you're 23?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the things I think about is also I feel go to the gym and get very health conscious with food and exercise and what have you. And I noticed it.
When they get cancer?
No. I noticed it when I was getting into my 40s.
Okay.
That
you started to get...
Was off to going to the gym all the time. I went to the gym a lot. I was health conscious in my early 40s. It was like, because this is what you did. If you wanted to live a healthy, longer life, you did all these exercises and got fit. But I wish someone had been around to say, you really, really need to do this. It's really important that you do keep fit, and it's really important that you eat healthy. I think we really should have been, or I should have been really, that should have been stressed more.
From the start or for throughout?
Yeah, I did a lot of sports when I was a teenager, and in my 20s and 30s I was doing sport, etc., and I thought I was pretty fit and okay in my 20s and 30s. And in my 40s, I thought, hey, I think I'm going downhill a bit now. This is when I better start getting into the gym every week or day or whatever I was doing. But I feel in hindsight, I wish I was told then, you really, really do need to go to the gym every day. You really do need to eat well. I mean, really push that in through the 40-year-olds that just, put on the leotard and the sneakers and go off jogging or whatever. I think it's really, really important that they do.
Yeah. For you, was it a bit of a 5-year sprint and then you kind of stopped as well, or?
Yeah. I sort of did it for a while, and then I got involved, I suppose, with work, family and kids and work, etc., and then didn't have the time to do that so much. Yeah, but I think it's important that it's kept up. And walking, I think walking is important, especially for older people. I do believe that walking is really, really good, and yoga. I've never done yoga actually, but I've got friends in their late 70s, early 80s that walk non-stop and do yoga. And they wouldn't be out of breath like I am, They are really good at doing all that. And I wish I had done that more.
Yeah. I think when I hear that, Grandma, I mean, I say this, it's a beautiful thing. But exercise and eating healthy and staying on top of yourself is, in a sense, it's putting yourself first, right? It's like, I need to be healthy so then I can live longer and healthier to serve others and whatnot. And of course, the opposite side of that, which so many people, the other rail that people fall into, is I'm so focused on work so I can provide and help family and whatnot that I'll sacrifice my own health for that.
Yes, well, I didn't have time.
Right.
I didn't have time.
But even in your prayers every night, it's not about you, it's about everyone else.
Yeah, well, that's right.
That's kind of...
I do throw in nowadays the odd one about, please help me.
Yeah. But have you ever... It's a weird one to balance the two sides of, I don't want to be selfish, but I also need to be good so that I can serve others.
That's right. Yeah.
Is that something you've ever thought deeply about?
Well...
Because it sounds like in so many things, in giving, in health, in prayers and whatever, it's all everyone else and nothing on me, but that actually makes, in a sense, you risk becoming small or unhealthy or unfit, so that you can't actually help others. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think I do regret. I think, like, just doing the bed and breakfast that I did for 14 years, and I was getting up at 5 o'clock to get breakfast organised and thinking, I wish I could go for a run on the beach. I wish I had time to go for a walk. It's a beautiful sunrise I can see happening. But I can't. I've got to get the breakfast done.
But then once you closed the bed and breakfast, you weren't then doing sunrise walks, were you?
No, I did. I did a little bit. I did a little bit from the next place we moved to. I was in a little walking group. I did a little bit there,
Yeah.
and then I got sick. So, yeah.
It's such a weird one, isn't it?
And I think in hindsight too, that after we, that 2 years from selling to me getting sick, I was walking with a walking group, but I had to cancel a lot because I couldn't make the distance, and I get puffed. And I suppose now, in hindsight, that was me not being well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I left my run a bit late.
Okay. Yeah. And is that when you're on the Sunday couch, is that what's going through your head, or is it like that looking at your whole life, shit, I left this too late, or is it more like today I feel like shit?
It's more like today I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Because, yes, I mean, look, the outcome mightn't have been any different, you know? So that's what I sometimes think that as well. I could have done all that and been fit, but you still get sick. So I've got to maybe stop it. Probably would have helped, but
Yeah, you have to enjoy the process. If you're getting fit just for the outcome of living longer, I think
yeah.
if you're not enjoying that getting fit process, then what was the point, hey?
No.
The good thing is, I truly believe our biological bodies are kind of hardwired to, in the long term and even in the short term, really love that process. Okay. Well, last time we went through kind of the frangipani journey, and we probably got up to, if we're running it backwards, like Chermside Park, which is, for context, I, before starting school, was there how many days a week? 2, 3?
That you came?
Yeah, to live with you.
You were mostly there every weekday.
Every weekday? Jeez.
Yeah.
Come on.
We used to make a
parents.
joke. I don't know. We used to make a bit of a joke. You go home to your parents on weekends. It was like a reverse custody. It's quite funny.
Yeah. So how is it?
And then I think then your mum booked you into your little creche not far from us as well.
Yeah. In Lilydale, right?
No, it was Bayswater.
Bayswater.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that you could be dropped off on the way to my work. I know somebody would pick you up afterwards, and yeah, it was fun. I loved having a stay, and of course the girls did. Even now, Kimberly sees you as her little brother. She's always saying that. I see Tim as my younger brother. It was great. It was, I think, a good atmosphere for you as well with all the kids in the house.
So who was in the house? I don't.
Well, Samantha and Kimberly were there, and
I remember Sam. I've said this story before. I have a distinct memory of, it must have been the Eastern Freeway or something, and Sam would have been 20 odd, and I would have been, 5 or something. And she was driving, I think maybe on the phone, and then realised she had to get off at this exit, and she would have looked, I'm sure. Oh, she was driving with her knees, that's right. And then she would have
driving with
looked,
her
I'm sure.
knees
Yeah, but then went across about 5 lanes
to get off.
to get off.
Did she know you're in the back seat, or she
Yeah,
forgotten?
who knows, right?
Yeah.
I remember Sam being in her early 20s, younger than I currently am.
Yeah.
And I think Kim was, London and
Well,
away a
they
lot.
all came and went. There was always somebody there. Even
Sam
the
was on the
boys.
cruises
Yeah, Sam went off. She worked, and then she went off on the cruise, and Kimberly was around working, and then she went off to England, and Martin came back to live for a while, and until he got married, and then Chris came until he got married, and your dad. They all came and went. There was always somebody there.
Yeah.
Well, your dad had married. Obviously, you were born.
So
yeah.
how is having grandkids? How does that compare to kids?
Oh, it was lovely. It was lovely because it's a typical story. You can spoil your grandchildren. You don't get into trouble. You don't have to correct them. You don't have to do anything. You got to make sure your own children grow up right.
Yeah.
Your little grandkids, well, you do what you like, and then the parents will sort it out.
So you can just play perennial good cop.
Yeah. It was fun. It was fun. Do you remember going on the walking group every Monday morning, I think? That was in once again. I was walking, pushing the pusher.
I reckon
along the river in
remember
Warrandyte River.
I have a lot of memories which are just vague things, memories of
Yeah.
memories
Yeah.
of just the classic scene, whether it's you, mainly you or mum, and just a group of ladies at some cafe, me probably with a strawberry milkshake or
Yeah,
something.
that's right. Well, I think it was every Monday morning.
I feel like half my childhood was going around shopping centres and
It
just groups
was.
of women.
It was. Yes. All the ladies thought that they all said that they were your aunties, all my friends in the walking group, they were your aunties. And yeah, it was good. Well, that was once again, I walked along the river in Warrandyte, with the group of ladies and we'd have coffee and you'd have your strawberry milkshake. You'd be sitting there in the pusher and it was great. They were all younger than me. They hadn't quite got around to having grandchildren yet, so they all fussed over you. Yeah, so there'll be a few, I think a few aunties that would love to go to your wedding when time comes. They've always said that to me.
Yeah. It's so funny that, isn't it? You have like a web of random
Yeah,
people
I know. I know.
and you
But,
meet them now or something, they're like, I knew you when you were
that's right.
3.
Exactly. You're looking at them going, I don't know who the hell you are, but okay.
So what was actually going on in your life then? Because I have such a strange
Well, I
faded
was working
perspective.
sort of when I wanted to work
Okay.
at the office. So I think it was nearly every day, but I just did what I wanted to do.
And what did that actually entail? Because this is Grandpa's big accountancy
Yeah,
firm.
yeah, but I mean, of course, I started working there full time, and but then when the children were born, or the girls were born, and what have you, I was home all the time with Kimberly, and then when Samantha came along, she's 5 years younger. I did have to put her into creche. She went into a couple of different creches that I felt terribly guilty about because I went to work. And then then a few years after that, you came along, and it was fun.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah,
funny. It's so weird. Like, I'm just injecting myself into this story, but my
yeah,
relationship with those eastern suburbs is so strange because
yeah.
it was where I existed before school. So,
You can remember it probably being outdoors and
yeah, like Warrendale,
yeah,
Warrenwood,
yeah,
Croydon, Chenslow
yeah,
Park.
yeah.
But then I never went there because you guys moved away
Yeah,
and then I moved internal. So I never went there during school.
you only came to Churnside Park.
Yeah. But then this year was strange because I was there a lot as well.
Oh yeah, because you had a
Yeah, and
girlfriend and you're back in the same
I know, and I was
territory.
like, wow, this is like a weird nostalgia of I know
Yeah,
this place,
been here
but
before when I was about 3.
yeah, and my whole family's from here and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
that's right.
okay, maybe a good place to go is how did you get involved in, with grandpa and kids and everything? What's that story?
How did I get involved with Grandpa?
Yeah, because it was from a job, right?
Oh,
Like, yeah.
you haven't read his book.
Well,
Read his book. Okay, so I just all right. So okay, I can go back a little bit further.
yeah.
I hadn't been working for a while. I was previously married.
Oh, shit.
You'd
Yeah,
know
yeah. We
that.
should go back there. So
Well,
yeah, because from memory, you're super religious, right? Sunday
yeah,
school.
yeah.
Shit, okay. We're going to go way back.
Okay, so I was previously married, but I knew I wasn't going to have children because I wasn't in love.
Can you just real quick get into that story of being previously married? I've heard this before, but
Well, my friends were all having children and staying home, not working, and I thought, well, I don't want to have children to stay home. I would just like to stay home. And so I did. And I'm home there for a few months. And then I thought,
this is when you're married.
to my first husband,
So how did that even happen?
what do you mean?
Who is this guy? What?
Oh, I met him at Sunday school,
How old were
15.
you? 15.
And I married him at 21.
Mad. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
So you had the like classic, your generation, traditional Christian
Yeah.
storyline going. It just wasn't the right person.
No, exactly. We all met at Sunday school and youth group. We went to youth group together and
Is that the same one as Glenn?
no, I knew Glenn, who he was in our friendship group, but not in the church group.
Okay. Because he's had the meet at Sunday school and then...
Oh, has he?
Well, I presume his wife's from Sunday school. Something like it.
His wife was my friend in prep, so I've known her since prep,
Okay.
since we were 5.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm home. I'm home, and I had given up work, and I was about 26 or something like that. I'd only newly married.
Yeah.
And then I thought, maybe I'll just see if I can get a job. I don't want a job, but I'll see if I can get a job. So I applied for a job in the local paper as a secretary to the accountant's office.
Real quick, doing nothing at home without, like, not wanting kids and stuff. Was that do you know, it's a long time ago, but was that a good chapter? Like, was that a fun time? Was that a depressing time? Was that a...
I wanted to get out of the marriage. I didn't want to be in the marriage. So I stayed there as long as I could.
At home?
In the marriage.
Okay. Wait, why did you stay for as long as...
Because I stayed there for 7 years. Because
this is just a fascinating... I don't know if this is a can you often open, but that's a fascinating...
I know, we can wipe all this after, can't we?
Yeah, this is a little chapter that's, like, never spoken of.
All right. So, anyway, yes. So I applied for this job in the accountant's office, and I went for the interview a couple of times. My husband, Bob, and another guy interviewed me.
Wait, he wasn't your husband at the time?
No.
No, okay.
My husband, Bob, now, then interviewed me for the job, and another guy. Anyway, he rang me to say that I've got the job, but I didn't want the job. I just wanted to see if I could get it. And so I said to him, no, sorry, I'm not interested.
Real quick, when he interviewed you, because you're not liking the marriage you're in and blah, blah, blah.
No.
Did you feel did you notice him?
No.
No, he's just a random
No,
dude.
he wasn't the one I wanted. No.
Who was the one you wanted?
Nobody at that point, but I didn't want to be there either.
But you never thought about this guy as any... Yeah.
No, not at all. And no. So anyway, he rang to say I got the job, and I said, no, I don't want the job. Thanks very much. And he was a bit shocked. And he said, okay, do you mind if I keep your name on file in case one day, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, yeah, righto, do that. So about 6 months later, he rang me again, and he said, the girl that I employed, she's left, but I've got your name here and your phone number, so I'm wondering if you might be interested in a job. It's yours if you want it. And I said, thanks very much, but no, I don't want the job. And he said, well, can I offer you, perhaps we talk money? And so I talked about an hourly rate, and I said this ridiculous amount of money, whatever it was at the time. And he said, oh, okay, well, that can be arranged. And I thought, damn.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, look, I'm so used to staying home now, I'd probably want to work short hours. And he said, what hours would you like to work? And I said, oh, I like to sleep in. So maybe if I come in after lunch, work from maybe 1 till 5 every day on this high pay. And he said, yeah, okay, that's fine. And I thought, damn.
Has it since been revealed that he might have had intentions?
Yes, I think he might have, because he did a big background check on me after the first interview. And he found out that I'm from an old family in town, from an orchard, that he knew other orchardists in the area, and he did a check on me, and yes, he did his homework. So that's why he kept me on file.
Do you know if that was, I'm keeping this on file as a receptionist or as or a potential partner?
Could have been anything. Don't know.
And he's never...
I know. I never really gone down. Never found out. I just think he did it because he liked me. Anyway, I started working for him from 1 till 5, and it was pretty good. I used to rock in at 1 o'clock, and I'd wear casual clothes because I couldn't be bothered getting dressed up. And I'd wear jeans and whatever, and everybody else is all in office wear, you know, and I don't think I was
When
liked.
is this? Like
I was not liked at all.
is this the 80s? Like
Late 70s,
70s?
about 76, 77.
I just like that's such a TV show. Like
Yeah.
an office like that in the 70s.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. There was a lot of girls in the office, and they did not like me. Anyway, I understand. I understand that. I mean, here's this person rocking in with casual clothes at 1 o'clock, thinks she's hitting a bit, you know, and as his secretary and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, anyway.
It's the story as old as time, isn't it? The secretary.
I don't like talking about that much.
You don't?
Not really.
Why?
I don't know. There's lots of stuff that went on, so I don't want to go down that track.
Okay.
Anyway, so we ended up together, yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is another question I had, and again, it might be a bit whatever, but similar to the difference between having grandkids and kids, what was the difference between, because you had a decent role to play in raising, well, your own kids, Sam and Kim, but then stepchildren? Yeah, stepchildren.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference there? And obviously, yeah, what's the difference?
I tried extra hard with the boys. I really did. I think I really wanted them to like me, and I wanted to do as much as I could for them. And I did love them. I mean, I still do. But, you know, when you got 3 gorgeous little boys and...
Because how old were they when you came in?
Roughly 12, 7 and 3. I've always thought about that. I remember giving Darren his 13th birthday party. Yeah. And I think Martin was not long out of nappies.
And how long were they with you? What was the setup?
Darren was with us all the time. Darren didn't want to leave his dad, so he stayed with us all the time. And the 2 little ones, they would come every second weekend, which was usually what happened back then. They'd come every second weekend, plus all school holidays, plus after school for a couple of hours till they got picked up. So they were there a fair bit. And they'd come Friday night and I'd take them to school Monday morning. Yeah, so they were there a fair bit. And then we had the 2 girls. All the kids were about 5 years apart, so it all worked out well. And I made a point of trying to really raise the kids to be very close. And
how do you even do that?
Well, you know, we never use the word half brother and half. We never use those words half. This, it was always your brothers, your sisters. And we did things as families. When the boys were there, we'd do things together. We'd do, you know, outings and day trips and things. So we were always doing things together. And they were. The 5 kids, I think, have grown up. And I think today they still are very close. And I didn't even care whether they hated me. That was irrelevant. I wanted the 5 kids to be close.
Again, it's like...
And I think they are. They've all got now on their own little group chat, aren't they, the 5 kids? And I think it's great. Yeah. It's good. I feel that I achieved that by getting them, you know, to be close together. I hope so anyway.
Again, though, it's you're the sacrificial lamb.
Oh, well, no. No, well, no.
You know, it's that common trend, though, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, well, that's, yeah.
It's part and parcel of parenting.
Well, yes, I didn't want to be the wicked stepmother, and I was determined not to be that, and, you know, yeah.
And when you think about, or when I think about, I've only been an adult for 5-6 years, and we're talking you know, how long? 20, 25, 30-year period of working, raising kids, a new kid, or 5 years later, a new kid. Like,
yeah. Well,
I can't even compute the time warp that is involved in this, and I don't know where the question's going to come out of this or not, but...
Well, I did have help. I did have a cleaner that came in each week. I did have a gardener that came each week to help. I was more, and I still am probably more of an outdoorsy person. But no, I didn't have. In fact, when I married your grandfather, he had live-in home help. They had live-in, and they had two.
Like an au pair or something?
Yeah,
Wow.
full-time live-in.
Two?
Well, one at a time. I met them both. They had an older woman who they had her set up in a little unit, but she would cook the meals and clean the house and look after the kids and do everything for
And they were paid?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think back then though, it was more like if you give someone the accommodation, you only need to give them a small wage because you're supplying them with accommodation.
Well,
and
people do that
meals.
with young backpackers,
Yeah.
like 20-year-olds from Europe.
Do they pay them as well? I don't know.
Yeah, like a little bit, but maybe it's just having a room in the house.
Yeah. So Grandpa used to make a joke of the fact that, he married me and he sacked his live-in home help and he got me as the secretary, the wife, and the live-in home help. That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel or whatnot? Because it sounds like you guys were pretty well off. Like, was that the case? It's hard to contextualize that because it's 50 years ago.
We were, I think, maybe like a lot of people, we were up and down a fair bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what sense?
In money-wise,
What were the ups like?
Well, we always had nice homes and cars. But it was a bit stressful at times. Putting the 5 kids through private school and going without a lot. Went without a lot.
Are there any financial downs going without that you remember? Like, I remember this moment, I remember that moment, what it felt like, what it looked like.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was, but
because for some
you just
people,
get
going
over it.
without will be going without the European holiday that year, or some people
Well,
will
we
be like,
didn't. We had one holiday towards the end of all that when the kids had left home.
Yeah.
But no, there were times that it was a struggle. Yeah. But we got through it.
when it was a struggle, was it like, how did you get to it?
We just cut down on things. Really, you just tighten the belt, as they say. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Nice. And do you have? You mentioned before. I'm glad you did. Like, your family having had orchards. I mentioned the other day that 2 street names in Wanturna, your parents.
Where our orchard was, yeah.
Yeah. What connection to that land in those eastern suburbs of Melbourne do you feel yourself having?
Oh, very much in the Doncaster area, because that's where my mother's family were all from.
Yeah.
All those orchards over there and the streets named after her family. And then, of course, with subdivision, etc., when Shopping Town was built, well, I think...
Doncaster Shopping Centre?
Yeah, that used to be on the very corner. It was called White's Corner. There was an old shop on the corner. Well, that was my mother's grandfather's property or something.
Where Doncaster Shopping Centre?
Yeah, probably more on the corner. And so all those orchards got subdivided, and then the next generation that were raised, like mostly the sons, because girls didn't do it then, the sons all moved further out. So they'd move out from Doncaster to Wanturna or up to some
to have their orchard there.
Yeah, they moved out further, up to Pakenham or Upper Beaconsfield or Greer. They all moved out further around and the next generation.
So how long ago did your ancestors, do you know how long ago they got there? From presumably England?
No. My dad bought our orchard when he was early 20s. I think he bought in partnership with his brother, but he bought his brother out because his brother wasn't interested in the orchard when he's, in their young, early 20s.
In Wanturna. In Wanturna.
Yeah, it was actually Bayswater. I think they call it Wantuna today, but then it was Bayswater.
But for context, to anyone who doesn't have an intimate knowledge of Eastern Melbourne, this is full suburb, like suburbia.
Yeah.
now. And there's the density of population is pretty bloody big.
Yeah.
So you're talking orchards, like how many
Well,
acres?
we only had a small orchard. We
What's
only
small,
had
do you know?
25 acres.
That's
That's
still
small.
not nothing.
Well,
like-
able to put the three of us through private school on 25 acres, so he did really well, actually.
But now 25 acres, that's probably got 3,000 people living in it.
Yes. So what happened was all the orchards were subdividing around the area, but my dad was only 56 at the time, and he didn't want to subdivide. He was, still young, working on the orchard. And but he had a choice. He either subdivides with everybody else and goes with the area, or he has to put a high, 10-foot high cyclone fence around the whole property because he wouldn't be able to manage it with people living around there and jumping the fence and things. And I do remember he went out to, he looked at a couple of orchards out Healesville way. And I was very keen for him to do that when he subdivided and sold out, I was about 20. And I thought, maybe that would have been a good thing. But he didn't. Anyway, he just sold up and retired at 56.
Okay. And lived the rest of his days
Yeah,
somewhere.
they built a lovely home in Baronia. And that's where they lived. Yeah.
Because we watched Territory just before.
Yes, it's good.
And it's kind of an Australian Northern Territory version of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
There's big cattle ranches and infighting stuff. I'm kind of imagining a far smaller, far less violent version of
Obviously
this.
a lot smaller. And it was growing fruit.
Right, so it's inherently more peaceful and prosperous. But still, the idea of, as I say, like what suburbs are now, of these kind of big landowners and they're moving out and whatnot. It's just ludicrous. Like in your lifetime, how much have you seen that part of the world change?
Oh, a lot. A heck of a lot.
Is that just not wild?
Yes. It's sad too, And sometimes when I'm up that way, I'll go for a drive through the streets of our orchard and that. I'll look at where I had my very first home there because my dad, me being the eldest of three girls, my dad, when he subdivided, he gave each of us girls a block of land. And that was pretty special at the time. So I built my house there and...
Was that with that first husband?
Yeah, and it's still there today.
Wow.
I
never knew that.
Yeah. So,
what happened to that place?
He bought me out. So he stayed there.
Okay.
I should have pissed him off, but I didn't.
Oh, the guy, your first husband.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
He
Yeah.
stayed there. Yeah. Well, my dad land and everything, but it's not how it worked out. Yeah.
That's fascinating. Doncaster. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And in all this, connection to land and almost pastoral roots. Was there ever a draw or a thought for you to find that again somewhere else? If the encroachment of urbanization kind of took away your orchardist life?
Well, I think we had that at Churnside. That's why we planted lemons. And I did all the lemons. Grandpa might think that he did, but, he just walked around. I was one that did all the work and I had to employ a couple of uni students to help pick them. And I was the one that drove the truck to the guy that loaded up and took them to market. And I loved all that. I loved all that outside work. Yeah.
Thinking about it now, because he also came from orchards.
Yes.
Do you think, if you remember when you were kind of connecting, that must have been a point of connection. I can imagine that being a shared dream of, if we're going to get together, if we're going to get married, raise a family and stuff. Was that a shared dream of
No, we didn't. No, the similar backgrounds, yes, it always works. I'm a strong believer in marrying people from similar backgrounds. I mean, my parents, when they both came off orchards, and they were next door neighbours. So my mum just moved out of her house and then moved next door with Dad. So similar backgrounds. Even today, I think similar backgrounds always work. Yeah, I think there's a lot in that. But we didn't think that we were going to have property or anything like that. No, no.
Well, I think, at least this might just be me, but when I think about, and again, for me, it's just such fantasy and theory and whatnot. But when I think about connecting with someone else and envisaging marriage and whatnot, it's always tied into a dream. It's like a united dream of this is the life we will kind of want to build together. And I have that separately for myself, but then, there'd be something with someone else. Was there a kind of destination for you guys?
No, there wasn't. No.
Should there have been? I don't know.
Well, I just married the wrong person in my first marriage. We didn't have similar backgrounds. We just grew up together in a youth group. So that was all, shouldn't have happened. That was all wrong.
Did that warp your vision of love and relationships and marriage?
No, I just knew that I wanted marriage and I wanted to be in love and be loved, and I didn't have that in my first marriage because we were like mates. We're good mates. We're too young. Well, going with him from 15 to 21.
Yeah.
And then getting married at 21.
So what did you find in Grandpa that wasn't
Um,
the first one?
I've always said that it was his brain. It was his thinking and his brain. Well, I admired the way he was intelligent and educated and had a good upbringing and all the things that I felt that were more suited.
Is there a moment, is there an image, even just something to pin that sentiment on? He did this, or he made me feel like that, or I remember this moment where I saw his brain.
I think working for him in the office, watching him with clients, interacting, talking to them very knowledgeably, and just sort of being very probably in awe of him and proud of him and thought, gee, you're smart, you're clever, which I think I still feel today, even with his dementia. But yeah, you can probably see that too, that he's had good. So that was probably the attraction.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And were there other guys? I'm not saying with that, but were there other guys that you saw a similar thing in? Was there a special source, or was it just pure fate and proximity? Do you reckon?
No, there were other guys that I worked with over, since I was first married that I liked and could see a difference in them to my first husband, but they were all married, etc. But I could, I suppose it opened my eyes a lot because I didn't have anybody. I just was with this one person for all this time and then got married. And yeah, so I wasn't working from 15 to 21 and didn't get to meet the guys. And then when I did get married and then went and had a couple of different jobs, there were guys there that I thought, oh, you're really nice, you're married, but you're nice guys. And I thought, oh, there are nice guys out there. So,
Why didn't anyone tell me this before?
eh?
Why didn't anyone tell me this much?
Yeah,
Just to make
exactly.
sure
Exactly. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So for me and a lot of people in my generation and that I know, travel is a big part of potentially what you just described, that lack of exploration.
Mm. Yeah.
Travel is a big, just, conduit, a vehicle to
Of course.
explore, whether it's intimate relationships, friendships,
Mm.
places, things to do, the world itself. But I do know it's way more accessible now for the average Joe.
Yes.
So how has travel been in your own life? What's been going on with it?
Well, I didn't until I was 21 and married, and then was able to go to overseas to a couple of different countries. I didn't do any. My younger sister, she didn't. My younger sister was able to, I think at 20, when she was still at home, was able to go over to England by herself and did a few Contiki tours through Europe,
Oh, wow.
I would never have done that at that age. I wouldn't have had the confidence. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it probably worries me today that we're talking about meeting similar people, etc. I think the young people today, they're very fortunate that they can travel like yourself, and do so much traveling and see so much of the world. So you're not just looking at the opposite sex out there, you're looking at the countries and everything. I sometimes think, are these young people going to ever settle down, and what sort of life are they going to lead? They're probably never going to get married. They'll probably just live with someone, and they'll both travel, and they might have kids, but they'll keep traveling and they won't get married. And I don't know. It's interesting
Does that,
because you've got a wider, more of an open world around you now.
there's a lot of openness, there's a lot of fluidity
Yeah, yeah,
in modern humans, isn't
that's
there?
right.
What kind of judgments do you feel creep up in you from looking and experiencing that?
You mean judging?
Well,
Like,
not to say you're judgy, but I think all old people, older people
yeah.
are probably looking at the world and, young people and whether they're traveling or
Oh,
genders or relationships
I'm
and stuff.
envious to a point, if that's what you mean. I mean, but not so much. Like, I think I could have done it if I'd been more confident. If I'd been with a group of friends that we all went travelling, I could have done it. But I'm not. I think it's great that you are doing it. I think it's really great you're doing it. But I'm not.
But I guess when you say, oh, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that. Mm. Do you think that that's just because you lived a certain life, so you need to justify why that's the right path to yourself? Therefore, if people are doing something quite different to that, it threatens, and they find success and happiness in that, it threatens the way you've lived your own life.
No,
No?
no, I don't regret anything. Yes, I would have liked to have had that confidence when I was younger, and I didn't. So I took another path. Um, no, no, I just wonder how it's all going to end up with the younger ones today, like yourself. That's all. As compared to us, my age, that we're looking for that person. You go out with a group of guys or whatever, and you'd meet up and look for that person. Whereas the younger ones today not only do that or can do that, but they've got the whole world to explore as well. So
It definitely is a very different, I mean, just very different smorgasbord of options, isn't there?
yeah, Yes.
I think everyone knows this, but back in the day, in your day perhaps, you know, you're from Doncaster, and realistically there are only a certain amount of guys you can check up with, and there's only a certain amount of things even jobs and career paths to
Yeah.
do, and blah blah. Well,
Yeah.
now it's like literally infinite, like
Yeah.
blown wide open. You can end up with a bloody Tajikistan girl or a bloody,
Yeah.
you know, Paraguayan bisexual or something, and you can be everything from, yes, an accountant, or you can be some Twitch streamer posting whatever. It's just
Yeah.
infinite possibilities.
Yeah. That's right.
Very strange for as a representative young person. It's very strange to think about. I think that's why the timelines changed as well. The fact that you got married at 21 is almost absurd nowadays. People think, oh, 30, 35, have kids 35, 40.
Well, you go back further generations. I mean, in my grandparents, who I remember very well, in their era, there were no divorces. There was no divorce. You just didn't divorce. You didn't separate. You just suck it up. You just made the most of it. Divorce would have been so bad on the family. So it's getting a bit more relaxed and what have you down the line, you know.
It's such a way up though, isn't it? Because for the women especially who are stuck in what would have been terribly abusive, blah, blah, blah
Oh yeah,
relationships,
yeah.
it's so good nowadays that you can just quite easily divorce and leave that.
I don't know, yeah, but how much abuse was really going on a few generations back, because people were marrying similarities. They were, you know, they would be mostly marrying in their circle. Like I said, my parents married; they were neighbours next door to each other, so they all had similar backgrounds.
Do you think that's the stem root of
Yeah, I think it was similar
abuse?
backgrounds is very important.
But do you think just having similar backgrounds, you're going to avoid abuse in a relationship? I don't know if that's the case.
No, probably not. Doesn't make sense.
No.
I think also it was so different back then because the women didn't go to work. They would work at home. They would grow their vegetables and raise their families and cook their meals and have roast dinners on weekends and cook their cakes and do all that baking and all that. They were homebodies. That's what they did. They pandered to their husbands and their family, if you want to put it that way, and they looked after them, and it all worked. It worked.
Do you feel like you were maybe the last generation who kind of got a bit of a taste of that?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of more akin to the life you've
Yeah,
lived.
well, this woman came along called Germaine Greer. You might have heard of her. And probably in the early 70s. And she was very much for women's rights and women being independent. And, oh, my God, she just, everybody, well, the women, a lot of women, even me, were sort of scared of her because she was changing everything. I mean, I did like having my car door opened for me, the passenger door opened for me, or the door going into a building opened and the guy stands back, or I did like that sort of thing. But she brought in that, women have to be independent. They don't want to be having doors open for them and all this. And the female population were like shuddering. I mean, where's this woman come from? She's telling us all to sort of, get out there and do our own thing and stand up for ourselves and go and get a job and don't pander to your husband. And she just, oh my God, I think it was called Burn the Bra or something she was pushing, It was awful. And it did change everything. It did. And I don't think it really changed for the better, but.
I actually wanted to ask you, I was a bit scared to ask you about your kind of views on feminism and stuff. I'm glad you brought it up.
Well.
Because, and I don't think this is playing devil's advocate, this is just the other side of the thing. I would say that you naturally fell into that traditional role and have been served well by its existence. Like, at least in your perspective, you've lived a life that you liked living, and it was fitting in that traditional role of,
Yeah.
as you said, pandering to husband and being a homebody. Now, if that is the only role available for women, that might be the ideal for, throw out a number, 70, 80, 90% of the female species. But for that remaining 10, 20, 30, whatever it is, 60, whatever, fuck, that sucks.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean?
women got educated too. That's another thing. They all got educated and they all got careers, and the whole world's just changed a lot. And I've seen all. Yeah.
It's exactly, and it's
Yeah.
fascinating. It's fascinating to
Yeah.
hear it from you who,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
if
saying
you were
it's.
born today, okay, great question. If you were today an 18-year-old, 20-year-old, 15-year-old girl, how different?
It would be fun. I'd know what to do now. I'd be out there partying.
Would you? Yeah, what would you
I'd be
do?
partying and I'd be traveling, and yeah, and I would be looking probably for a permanent, probably in my 30s, because I'd be too busy enjoying myself. Yes, I would travel and party and look around more
Do
and
you
be
think that's a good strategy?
probably not, but I didn't do all that. So
Because that's what I mean. Like, now that it's blown wide open,
yeah,
and this is probably going to make me sound like a bloody chauvinist or whatever it is, but now that girls can do that, which I think is great, it sets up a potential to, like, bite you in the ass later, if that makes sense. Like, before, the rules were set, so as you said, you're kind of forced into being a good wife or whatever. Where now it's like you're not forced into that, and kind of it's way more fun probably to do all sorts of things that by the time it comes around to wanting to be that, you're maybe just not prepared, if that's what you're going for, right? If it's not, fucking full steam ahead. But if it is, it's kind of like, now you can have your cake and eat it too, but you're going to be eating for 10, 20 years and then turn around and want the cake. I see that a lot. Have you followed? Have you tried to that?
well, to a point, yeah. I just think you're happy with what you've got, and you can't turn the clock back. But
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one for.
yeah, I would. Yeah, of course. I think everybody would go, "Oh, I'd do it all different." Of course, I'd do it differently, you know. But yes, I did have a very sheltered upbringing. I'll admit that, and I knew no other. I knew no other way. So but yeah, I think that I don't know. I just think
Well,
about you and traveling, and well, you know what you're doing. You know, it's interesting to see though the young people how they are.
but this is the thing. I don't think young people do know what they're doing.
They
Like,
don't.
because I don't know what I'm doing, and
Do you think there's too many options open, or
100%. So what I'm saying is, I think everything's happened and moved so quickly, like so quickly, that for me, I'll just talk about me, but I think it's more or less the same for my whole generation. We have seen you, right? This grandparent generation live this traditional. I basically be the last peak humans to live this traditional, at least in this civilization, this traditional form. We've been more or less the same for millennia, and that is because it's been so long, so structured, so rigid. All our storylines, our fairy tales, our movies, our biology is kind of playing by that rule book of traditional setup. But in our own lives, we're in a different game. But we still have the same prize in mind. Because I don't think there's many people who don't want a nice marriage in a house, doing the thing with kid, all that stuff. Like, no one I know doesn't want that. But the way you and all your ancestors before you got there is so, so, so different to what we're currently doing.
yes, Yes.
And what we're seeing
Well,
in
you'll
my
get there.
parents'
Yeah,
generation.
you'll get there older. You'll be older and get
But
there.
the thing is, my parents' generation are the first ones to play in this new rule book.
Mm.
And they're fucked. I mean, the divorce rates, I think, are above 50%.
Yeah, I know. I used to say it was about 1 in 3, I think.
I think it's higher now.
Yeah.
It's like getting higher.
Yeah.
So the dream is still the same, but because the path to get there is so different, do we change the dream? Do we go back to the old path? Do we somehow make a little bridge?
You'll make probably better choices, and then I think you'll work at you. If you get married, you'll work at the marriage because you don't want that to. I didn't want I was adamant when I married my husband now and had the 2 girls. I was adamant no matter what I went through, I was not going to have my kids come from a broken home. I wasn't going to divorce no matter what. So I think your generation, having had parents that a lot of them, as you say, divorce, I think you'll make wiser choices. And then when you've made those choices, you will really make sure you work at it.
I hope so. I think that's where I certainly stand.
Yeah.
I think that what
And
that,
it's not too hard to work at it.
but honestly, what that means though, in reality, is that fewer and fewer of us will probably get married.
Exactly. That's why
It's like,
you're
if
all
I'm going to
living
get
together.
married, I don't want to get divorced, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to get married in the end.
And you're all living together because they think it's probably, well, we won't have to commit too much. We'll just. But then I think when you have kids, I think I'd like to see more of a commitment there with children, just from my religious point of view. Yeah. So.
It's fascinating stuff. Were there, and this is very personal, and feel free to not, was there a moment where you, because you just said, I don't want to have a broken marriage, a broken home, no matter what. That's very strong. Were there moments where that was tested?
I think all marriages have their ups and downs. I don't think anybody can have a perfect sail through your marriage and say, we never had an argument or we never threw something or yelled or screamed. I think I can't believe that anybody can say they never have.
A few episodes ago, Adam said the connection, the bond here is so strong because you've had wars with this person, is what he said, with someone you get married to. And that's wild. You've both gone to war against the world together.
Oh,
but you've also had internal civil wars.
Yes, yes. But you work it out. You don't have to split up or separate or walk out. To me, that's like the easy way out too.
Was there anything that you can say that was like, this was fucking close?
No, there's nothing that happened that I wish I'd left or no.
Not that you wish you'd left, but like seriously got tested.
No. I might have been tested a few times, but I knew we could work through it. And
Grandpa's a pretty tolerable person.
Yeah, well, I know. I just used to hang in there and try and change him.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know. That's all right. It's been okay. It's been good. The good bits have outweighed any bad bits that there were, which were hardly any, really. No, nothing to even think about. But you just work it out. And
what's the best bit?
The best bit?
Or one of many? Any come to mind?
It's always a lot easier when you have money. Always. I mean, apparently Grandpa's father he told me this, that his father used to say to him, doesn't cost any more money to marry a rich girl than a poor girl.
Noted.
Noted. And I thought, I don't know where that puts me. I don't know where I stand in that one, but yeah, it was always easier if you could, getting through life, and happier if there was money, obviously. And if you were struggling, it was always a little bit more difficult.
Do you not find, because I definitely have a romanticized image of we're married, we're in the trenches, paycheck to paycheck, and look how strong our bond is together. Is that real or is that bullshit?
Oh, I think it's real. Yeah.
But it's not exactly a highlight.
I think it's a bit sad today that mostly both people in a marriage have to work. I think that's a little bit sad. And I think that's the way it is with the economy, etc. I think going back a couple of generations when the wives didn't have to work, I think there was less stress on the marriage, etc. I think having them both work today to pay off their mortgages and their cars and educate kids and raise a family, I think there must be a huge amount of stress there. There must be.
Because it was almost like the guy would go out into the world and face the world in a suit of armor, like literally a suit of armor, and bring the gold home, and then whatever battle scars he's got, the wife's there to like patch them up at home.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's also a nice romanticized image, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose that happened. And in day-to-day life, sure. But when they're both out there working and trying to, maybe sometimes I think maybe it's because there's so much out there and young people are wanting it all, like when I first got my home, I had laybys everywhere. I would furnish one room at a time. So excited that I could pay off the bedroom suite and bring that home, and then we'd go and look for the dining room setting. And I mean, but from what I've heard these days, people get their homes and they've got to have it fully furnished and they've got to have everything now. And I think to do that, they must have a heck of a big credit card bill or something. So that can only, to me, put stress on their relationship.
That makes a lot of sense. I definitely feel that. For me, I kind of restrict that consumeristic urge to travel.
Yeah.
But there's always a coming up, and like I'll always find a way, and I can see that same energy being translated into materialism for sure. So, relationship with Grandpa, the man, like in that traditional setup, he's kind of the leader, the man of your life in a sense. How has it been to watch his decline these last few years?
Well, it's sad more recently now for me because I was probably the last to see it, being close to him, I guess. Kimberly noticed it probably way before me, and I don't know whether the other kids have seen it so much, but now I do, and it's a slow process, I think, but it's happening. It's another part of life and growing old, but I haven't had too much time to think about him because I'm thinking about myself.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Both of you, it's kind of hit at the same time. And
Yeah.
I think that's when you said earlier, and it wasn't the time then, but it might be now, to being that deer in headlights of what do I do about this cancer thing? And I wish someone could just tell me.
Give me the answers.
From the sounds of it, for so many of the decisions through the last decades, Grandpa has just had the answer. Because he's been the dude, and like it's just like this, we're going here, we're doing this, we're doing that.
Yeah,
I
can't talk to him about anything now.
But without that, you might have been making 90% of the decision, but you probably needed him to pull the trigger on that last 10.
I would say, how about this, or what do you think of that, or we'd discuss everything. I keep going to do it now, but then I remember he says stupid things to me, so it's not working. So I can't even talk to him about situations, daily life, or friends, mention friends' names, or even some of the family names. I can't talk about anything because he doesn't know who I'm talking about. He doesn't know what I'm saying. And that's pretty difficult. It's like not having somebody there to bounce things off and talk to. That's quite hard. Yeah. So I can't ask his opinion on things or anything. I know it's just, I might say a few things to him, but I've got to take the answer with, not sort of take too much notice of the answer. So therefore there's loads of things that I don't talk to him about and I don't tell him because he'll either conjure up the whole different, he'll just sort of go off on another tangent, and I'm not what I was meaning or what I meant, but he'll read things into it, or so I just don't tell him stuff. Yeah. I mean, I did tell him that I'm in a unit at COWS here at Phillip Island, and that's nothing else has been said. He hasn't said anything to me about it. He hasn't said, what's it like? Where is it? Nothing. So I've said it. I've said my bit, and I won't mention that again. So, yeah.
It's a weird.
Yeah. So he's not really, he doesn't concentrate, and he's not really interested, and it's all about him anyway. Probably has been for a while. So, yeah.
Is it, and this might be a bit much to say, but that intelligence, that brain that you said drew you to him, does it feel like that in a sense is now gone?
Yeah, it has.
And it's almost dutiful to just remain
It has
loyal
gone,
to the
and
shell.
sometimes I haven't even got the energy to go and visit him. Sometimes I think I can't be bothered. He's happy, I think, in his own little world now, and he's got his friends there, and I just try and leave it at that, really. And like, he's been on the phone a few times yesterday and today saying, when are you coming to see me? And I'll just say, well, I was only there a couple of days ago. And he just says, oh, were you? Okay, well, when are you coming back? And I'll say, well, probably in another couple of days' time. None of that's true, but I say. So, yeah.
So if you are now left in a position of perceiving him as, again, harsh words, but a shell of the man he once was,
Yeah.
have you tried to, maybe just out of pure curiosity, it might be painful to do so though, try to think about the world he's currently living in, his brain state, and how he perceives you and how he perceives himself in the world? Like, do you know what's going on in there, in that shell?
Oh, well, he keeps telling me all the time that, he's still, how madly in love he is with me and everything, and how he adores me. And sometimes I'm thinking, does he know he's talking to me, or does he think it's me when I was younger? Because his mind goes back a lot. So, but that's okay. He can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just in his own world, really, and getting more and more so. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like watching someone.
Well, he is becoming a shell of himself. Yes, he is. And that's hard.
Paving the way to the psych ward.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit tired.
Yeah, I mean, I would be too if that was the topic. Well, Grandma, I think we can wrap it there.
Okay.
We'll do part 3 in a few weeks.
Oh,
maybe.
really? I think I've just been babbling on today.
That was great.
All right.
That was yeah, that was really special.
Okay, thank you. You're turning it off now?
Yeah, we'll turn it off.